Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Guys, today we are diving into a major legal showdown that's sending shockwaves through the higher education and politics. Harvard University has officially filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration, and the heart of this issue is over $3.2 billion in federal funding that has been frozen. Yes, you heard that right. Billions, not millions. According to Harvard, this massive freeze is directly tied to their refusal to dismantle diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, commonly known as DEI, and also due to how the university has handled accusations of anti Semitism on campus. The lawsuit filed in federal court is Harvard's attempt to force the administration to unfreeze these funds, which support vital medical and scientific research projects. And they are making it clear this isn't just about money, it's about academic freedom, scientific progress, and constitutional rights. Harvard President Alan Garber issued a bold statement on April 21st, stating that the consequences of the government's actions will be severe and long lasting. He pointed to the kind of research currently at risk, efforts aimed at improving the long term health of children who survive cancer, studies exploring how cancer spreads at the molecular level, modeling future infectious disease outbreaks, and pain management treatments for wounded soldiers on the battlefield. So these aren't abstract or distant ideas. These are the real projects with real world consequences. And now they have been thrown into jeopardy. Just hours before Harvard announced the lawsuit, reports emerged that the President Trump was planning to withhold an additional $1 billion in federal funds from the university, on top of the 2.26 billion already frozen the previous week. According to a Wall Street Journal report, which has been confirmed by White House official, the newly frozen funds were also designated for critical medical research. To make the matters worse, Trump has also floated the idea of stripping Harvard's of its tax exempt status, something that could financially cripple the institution in long term. Guys, interestingly, the administration has not fully detailed the reasons behind this most recent $1 billion freeze. However, the broader message seems to be crystal clear. Unless elite universities like Harvard comply with the administration's vision for educational reform, particularly regarding DEI initiatives and early campus anti Semitism, they will face financial consequences. Harvard's lawsuit outlines this exact concern, stating that the government is essentially trying to micromanage the university's operations. The complaint warns that if Harvard is forced to fund these research programs on its own without the federal support, the university may have no choice but to reduce graduate student admissions, cut the research staff, and stop investing in high end labs and equipment. This could stall the very discoveries that save lives and push human knowledge forward. The lawsuit also notes that Harvard has already taken significant steps to combat anti Semitism, especially over the past year. However, the administration, according to Harvard, has failed to draw any direct line between the university's ongoing research and the protest or early incidents on campus. In other words, punishing research programs for unrelated political disagreements, Harvard argues, is not only unethical, it's also dangerous. There is also an economic angle to it. Harvard is not just a university, it's one of the massacre's largest employers. The lawsuit points out that federal research funding doesn't just benefit the Ivy League elite, it flows outward into communities, hospitals, and partner institutions across the country. Harvard routinely issues sub awards to places like St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and the University of Alabama and Baylor College of Medicine. So, the impact of this funding freeze isn't limited to the walls of Harvard, it stretches into medical labs and the research centers nationwide. This entire situation began to spiral after the Hamas terrorist attack on Israel on October 7, 2023. The aftermath of that event triggered widespread protest, including on American college campuses. Some of these demonstrations included pro Palestinian messaging and, in some cases, were reportedly accompanied by acts of vandalism or anti Semitic rhetoric. The Trump administration responded by forming a Federal Anti-Semitism Task Force and turning its attention towards the elite universities, including Harvard, for allegedly failing to protect Jewish students. Earlier this month, three federal agencies, the Department of Education, Department of Health and Human Services, and the General Services Administration, jointly issued a list of demands that Harvard would need to meet in order to retain about $9 million in funding. These conditions included banning face masks during protests, eliminating DEI programs, and racial preferences in hiring or admissions, overhauling students' disciplinary systems, and fully cooperating with the Department of Homeland Security. That list, Harvard says, was a bridge too far. On April 14, Alan Garber informed the Harvard community that the university would not comply with these terms, calling the demands a clear overstep of federal authority and an infringement of constitutional rights. And in response, that very same day, the government retaliated by freezing over $2 billion in federal funding. In a firm statement, the Anti Semitism Task Force said the continued disruption of learning and harassment of Jewish students is very unacceptable. The message was blunt. Elite institutions must commit to meaningful change if they want continued taxpayer support. Now, guys, this is where the real debate begins. From one side, you have those who argue that the government is absolutely right to withhold funds from institutions that tolerate discrimination or politicize ideologies like DEI. They see this is a necessary pushback against years of academic overreach and bias. From the other side, you have defenders of academic freedom who see this as nothing less than authoritarian interference, using federal money as leverage to force ideological conformity. This lawsuit is not just about Harvard, it's about setting a precedent. If the federal government can demand this level of control over one university, where is to stop it from doing the same elsewhere? So, guys, will this reshape now colleges and universities operating across the USA? Or will future research be driven not by scientific curiosity but by the political compliance? We are now watching one of the country's most prestigious institutions take on a former and possibly future president in a high stakes legal fight. And the outcome could shape the future of higher education, research, and free expression for decades to come. So, guys, what do you think? Is this is a necessary correction to years of ideological bias, or is it a federal overreach that could chill innovation and science dissenting voice in the educational system? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update on the major stories like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and I will see you in the next video.